Las Vegas, the West Coast Conference basketball tournament. This is your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. Alongside Jerem Jordan, I'm Spencer Linton. We are pleased to welcome in on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline the always entertaining Mark Durrant, who I know is feeling the same way that many of you are feeling this morning. Somber. There is rain in the area in Las Vegas.
It was raining.
It feels appropriate. Jerem's got his black sports sweatshirt on.
That means Brigham lost.
Group therapy. Mark, let's bring you in. Help us feel better, won't you?
I can't help you feel better. I mean, I don't think it's raining. I think it's just Cougar Nation's tears falling down. It's just very, very sad. But before we get started, I have to say something, though. I got to meet Spencer's mother last night, and a sweeter, more wonderful woman I don't think I've ever met. Just magnificent lady. I had a great time talking to her. I actually have more respect now for Spencer. I didn't have much before, but now I do, because what a great lady she was, and I just enjoyed talking with her. Made me feel better after that game because I needed it. I was feeling down. It's always bad to lose. It's 100 times worse to lose on a last-second shot. BYU's got to go their way a couple times this year, but it seems like more often than not it goes against them. And to have it happen in a conference tournament when your hopes are so high and you're thinking, well, man, maybe we can win it this year, and it turns out it's just another early exit. It's hard to swallow for this team in particular, and I'm feeling a little bit blue, but it's nice when you at least have an NCAA tournament bid to fall back on. I mean, a lot of years we don't have that, and so still a lot to look forward to give me a little hope and a little happiness.
Mark, one, that's very nice of you to say about my mom, so put that out there. That's a highlight. Number two, we're trying to figure out why this happened. Why? What happened? What occurred for this BYU team to kind of lay an egg on offense?
Well, they were sloppy. They were not as physical as they needed to be. It might have taken BYU a little off guard to realize how much more physical postseason play is than just regular play. Obviously, St. Mary's plays a different kind of basketball when you're only scoring 50 points in a game. You know, you're not used to playing those kind of teams, so that's a little bit unusual and can take you off your game. Reminds me of when we used to play Air Force. I mean, it was just a weird, ugly game. They milk the clock and limit possessions, and so every turnover is magnified, and BYU had 15 of those, and it was so. The other thing that I would note that might have taken BYU a little off what they like to do offensively, you know, we kind of gloss over the loss of Colby Lee, and a lot of people debate on how big of an impact he has in the game, but what's interesting is you watch BYU's offense, a lot of it runs through the high post touch. And whether it's Dalton Nixon or Colby Lee, those two guys run it the best. They enter the offense by hitting that high post, and then you'll see guards kind of run off that and, you know, Colby or Dalton or Gavin will decide when to distribute and how to get. It's almost like they're kind of running the offense for a period of time. And I think without Colby on the floor, it took BYU out of their comfort to a degree on running that offense. And so what you saw, especially when it gets tight, is BYU just guys saying, okay, I'm just going to do it myself. You know, I'm going to put it on the floor, go get us a bucket. And that's just all season long, we've seen BYU with big leads, and, you know, the other team starts coming back. They get a little panicky. They kind of get out of their offense, trying to do things on their own, and it's been a problem all year long. And BYU recently has been able to withstand some of those meltdowns, but that Saharan drought last night was awful and cost them the game. And it's been a problem all year long and may continue to be a problem. But anyway, the point is, a lot of things can go wrong in tournament play. And they played a weird team, and they played hard, and credit St. Mary's, and they made the big plays when they had to. But you know, I'm not here to just list off excuses. I'm just my analysis of the game on why it went the way it did, and credit St. Mary's for making BYU taking them out of what they like to do.
BYU's been one of the best offenses in the country this season, the best three-point shooting team for the last several weeks, effective field goal percentage. That team didn't show up, and that was very disappointing. It was pretty wild. We were talking about Jake Toolson and TJ Haas don't make a shot in the second half. It's 6 total shots. How could BYU not get more than 6 made field goals in the second half, Mark?
Jeremy Spencer, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us? Mark Durrant.
Okay, we'll see if we can get Mark Durrant back on the line.
I think you just didn't want to answer the question.
That's one way to avoid it, right?
I
That's
think
one way.
He doesn't know the answer.
Jake and TJ had no points. I'm sorry, what?
I can't hear you.
I can't comprehend this. I can't. Okay, are you back, Mark?
Can you hear us?
Hey, I'm here. I talked for about 10 minutes. Did you hear anything of what I said?
Oh, yeah. No, we heard all of that.
Great analysis.
Okay.
Yeah, we heard all of it.
Okay.
So I had just an amazing question, and then you decided you didn't want to answer it, a.k.a. the phone issue. No, just kidding. How does BYU only make 6 shots in the second half? 4 from Yoli, none from Jake Toolson and TJ Haas. That's just a wild statistic.
Oh, boy. I mean, I have no idea. That's so weird for this team. And when we talk about the best shooting team in the country, this high-powered offense. But, again, St. Mary's did a great job taking BYU out of what they like to do. And it seemed like BYU went all in on Yoli Childs. Let's get Yoli the ball, let him do his thing. He's been so good lately. And one of the things that St. Mary's did that was unique with Yoli is he'd get the ball. The double did not come immediately. And when he put the ball on the floor to make a move, then the double came. And I think it frustrated him. And usually when that double comes immediately, he's really good at identifying it and kicking it to an open three-point shooter. But I think the combination of Yoli wanting to kind of take the team on his back and win the game for BYU and do it all himself, and then the little wrinkle that St. Mary's did coming in from different angles at different times on the double frustrated him. He got shots blocked, which you rarely see from Yoli. On several, like 2 or 3 straight possessions, he got a shot block. It was just a strange circumstance. And then, of course, you get the limited number of possessions against St. Mary's. They get late in the clock every time, so you're not going to have many field goal attempts, period. And that drought was just epically bad for BYU, and yet still they were in a great position to win that game. Yoli's little jump hook goes long. That would have at least assured an overtime, and then you're on your heels, and you put yourself in a situation where you're going to give Jordan Ford a chance to beat you. And if you give Jordan Ford a chance to beat you, 9 out of 10 times he will beat you. He is so good, and it was amazing. And the way he's able, everybody in the whole universe knew Jordan Ford was going to shoot that, and somehow he gets a wide open 15-foot jumper. That's amazing what he can do. And BYU, I thought, did not do a good job defensively in setting up for that play, because, like I said, everyone knew it was going to Jordan Ford. You've got to get the ball away from him. You've got to double him. You got to do anything, let anybody beat you but Jordan Ford, and yet somehow he gets a wide open jumper. That was disappointing, but credit Jordan Ford. I mean, the guy is so good, and if you let yourself be in a situation where he's going to have a shot, then you're probably going to go home sad.
Mark Durrant with us on BYU Sports Nation, BYU basketball alumnus and current radio analyst. How can the Cougars use a result as disappointing as this as a catalyst for something positive? And when do they start to make that transition mentally, Mark?
Well, I think it was a nice wake-up call, if you will. I don't really like to learn lessons by losing, but BYU had been on a nice streak there, and I think what they need to realize is that postseason play is a different animal. Referees tend to put the whistles in the pockets for the most part. Teams are much more physical. You're going to see a lot more length. And if you thought St. Mary's was physical and had length, you haven't seen nothing yet, and you get in the tournament. So I think it's a wake-up call that they're going to need to raise their level of play and their aggressiveness and how physical they are, and not expect to be bailed out on fouls and get to the free throw line, and not get sucked into those kind of games where they go away from the offense that has been so good to them all year long and sharing the ball. I only had 7 assists last night. Is a paltry number, and you can't let teams take you out of the offense that you want to do. And with that said, You've had pretty good success against good teams, tournament quality teams. You're a good three-point shooting team, which goes a long way in the tournament. I think BYU went away from the three-point shot, which is their bread and butter last night, and relied too much on Yoli inside. Anyway, the point is you've got great things ahead of you. This St. Mary's game could be a minor blip on your radar screen in 20 years when you think back on this season. Now is the time that makes the difference. Now is the time where you can be one of the great teams and make a run in the tournament, and people will be talking about you in 20 years. This is the opportunity. Yes, it was disappointing last night. It makes me sick to lose a game like that. But you put that behind you. This is the time you played all season long. This is the tournament. You get ready to go and be expecting tough games and have that mentality and go out and get after it. And if you can have success in the tournament, nobody cares about losing this game to St. Mary's. So get that mindset moving forward. Don't think about this. Just think about what lies ahead. This is what you worked for all year long, not to play St. Mary's, but to get in the NCAA tournament, and this is where history can be made.
Mark, great to talk to you, man. I do feel a little bit better, so mission accomplished, my friend.
Well, I'm happy to assuage a few of the doldrums from Cougar Nation, but let's be a little bit sad. But, man, this is a great team, and like I said, the future, the next couple of weeks is going to be a blast.
All right, brother, we'll see you down the road soon.
All right, my friend. See you.
Thanks, Mark.
Mark Durrant on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, you know why, we show how.
Coming up, what does Andy Katz see the Cougars doing in the NCAA tournament?
What did last